scrambling
You're
and we're
you're
on
slide
X.
you're sliding into home plate at the last minute, and it's usually me.
And well, the problem with that is I've been sitting here on the plate all day.
All right. So I guess we'll have some people. Hey, I just got a Facebook Live notification, so I guess we'll have some people watching here in a few minutes. We've already got a half dozen folks. So we're playing what's that? Oh, a shell game. Is it Tuesday or is it Thursday?
Yeah. Well, we found ourselves, so much stuff is happening. We have found ourselves getting behind, if you can believe that. Um,
Yes, we have.
yeah, lots, lots of things happening, and tonight's show is going to be entertaining to say the least. If you enjoy politics and you enjoy, I mean, look at the State of the Unions tonight too. We're going to have to kick this thing into speed, into gear.
Yeah, we're going to have to. But look, somebody said we were going to try to compete with Trump. I got to say, Trump gives like a press conference literally everything he does. If he's getting on Marine One, if he's getting on Air Force One, if he's signing executive orders, he's giving a press conference. So I really can't see what else he can say during the State of the Union.
I I can't either unless he starts pointing out everybody in the audience saying, "Hey, you're on the Epstein list. Marshall, grab him, grab him, grab him." Unless he does that, he's not going to top our show.
Exactly. Or MPs arrest that Zelensky guy. Oh, so I just put up a notice in the comments. I'll put it up here on the screen, folks. Y'all will have to excuse the frog. Apparently, I have attempted to swallow and is down my throat. This is post Mardi Gras, and I still have not got over it yet. So, if my voice sounds off, it is not the microphone tonight. I'm just off.
Yeah, you are off. It's better than it was, but you are off. And so I guess I'm going to have to, I keep forgetting I'm going to have to just kind of take over a little bit and talk more. So,
Yeah.
hey, the DA's investigation is out.
Yes, it is out. Is it any big surprise and shock to you?
Uh, Absolutely not. In fact, what is surprising to me is that they didn't come up with a better excuse or a better narrative. I expected more. But
Mm,
I I think. What about you? I mean, was it no
well,
shock
I
to you
have
either?
I have my little theory of how that all transpired in Skylar Marvin's office, but I'll wait till after the break to give my rundown of what I think happened.
Yeah, and and while we had it built into the notes for last week, the police jury and the city council stuff, I really don't know that we're even going to get to that because as we prosecute this DA investigation and provide you guys with a lot of evidence, facts, and things. I hate to say to contradict the DA's investigation, but we'll let we'll let the data support our assertions, and you guys can make your decision as to whether it was a, I'll use the term, whitewash or not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, whitewash is probably not the exact term. It's a wash of sorts. I wouldn't necessarily say a whitewash, but yeah, it's a wash of sorts. So, um, and Cassie Rogers says he literally blamed the victims, the people. So we're going to give a detailed kind of breakdown of our opinion on that, and we want to hear all the comments. Burn up the comments. Get your keyboards flared up and get ready because we want to hear your comments as well from everybody
Now,
watching.
additionally, we have some audio. I learned just a little bit before the start of the show that
late,
pertaining.
late breaking news and audio.
Yeah. So, for all of you Maggio supporters out there, I'm thinking y'all are probably going to want to watch this because, the trash in Bossier City, the trash that puts out evidence to support their position and back up when they say that this or that or whatever. The I, this is like the trash strikes back because
Yes, it is. The boys, the boy.
the boy, yeah,
Yeah.
literally, there was as the term goes, a boy was fighting back apparently, and he was put in his place too.
Yep. So we will discuss all of that and more. What do you say we go ahead and go to the break? And folks, y'all know the drill. Tag some folks, share some folks. We have some literally just released audio that we're going to play. Of course, I did a quick transcription of it. It's going to be pretty entertaining, kind of short. We'll review that. We're going to do our deep dive and an analysis of the DA's deal, and I'm also going to review how, for a few minutes, review how the ordinances and resolutions work with the city council, because I think that's pertinent to some of the information that you are going to analyze and describe for everybody, Mister Lowry.
Yes, and you know what? I am going to go on my X page and I'm going to share this show out. I encourage all y'all to do the same thing. Help us get the word out by just clicking that share button. That's all you got to
Yes,
do. Repost
it
it, share it.
it is a simple thing. Oh, and tag Vince, by the way, if you want to. That's great. All right.
By all
I'm
means. And Vince, you're welcome to come on and dispute this. I dare you.
yeah. All right, I'm going to hit the countdown button, folks. You'll know the drill. We will be back in about 2.5 or 3 minutes. Do that liking and sharing thing that we keep pestering y'all about. We'll be right back.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating. So I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse.
Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks.
Through conscious shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
Hey, I didn't tell you. Did you know that I got uninvited from a meeting that I was invited to?
Okay, no, you didn't tell me this.
No, this is late breaking news. Rex got uninvited from a meeting that he was literally invited to. It's the Flow conference about Caddo Lake. And, there's this controversy over the water from Lake of the Pines going to Dallas to water the lawns and all that, which would have an effect on Caddo. They're having this conference, and the politicians around there refuse to show up to the conference if all us people were going to show up and want to discuss this water situation. So, we all had to be uninvited so the politicians would show up.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm very serious.
I mean, is that like the Texas politicians? Surely that's not any Caddo Parish politicians.
No, that's Texas politicians. Caddo, Louisiana really has not that much say in it. And there's a whole lot more to it, so I don't have all the details yet. But me and a bunch of other people are invited to go to this to come speak or at least be present and do our thing and help publicize it and all that. And Anyway, got uninvited.
Holy shamoly.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Not surprising, but that is amazing. Well, I don't know where to start with the show. I really don't, except, last show, we brought the the stuff with the Colonel bringing the signs or returning the signs back to Vince. I think that was probably the highlight of the show. And it looks like that's going to be that same story is going to segue into this show.
Yeah, and I've got to get busy. That video caught some pretty good traction. I don't even know what the views are at, the organic views right now. And I've still got to do some little shorts and reels and all that sort of thing from that video.
Well, I got a question for you. We always said, and remember those professional journalists and people say that don't expect that from every show that you do that somebody will automatically have seen what you did the previous show or just assume. I think we probably ought to consider playing that again, that interaction again for everybody. So we bring everybody back up to speed. They know what we're talking about, because it segues into what we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, I could actually do that. Let me start prepping the video here while I ramble on for just a second, get this thing ready. So, yeah, all right, here's what we're doing. I'm going to hit the play button. And this is the video that we ran last week to give everybody full context of the video that we're going to show that is new, just got sent to us a little while ago for this week. So, are you ready, Mr. Lowry? Has everybody got their seatbelts on?
Locked and loaded. Let's go, baby.
All right, here we go.
Signs. I mean, I'm trying to be fair about all this stuff.
You the first person I
All
talked
right,
to
so let me back up.
actually it's like a Christian.
All right, here we go.
Hey, we'll get those in a minute. Don't worry about those followers.
Hey,
I mean, it's brutal enough, but
yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I know you wouldn't do this like this, but some of those college-age kids that are going.
What?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, folks. Let's try it.
What address is this? I get the sign.
Oh yeah, come with me. It's on Benton Road. But I wasn't going to throw it away, and I told the woman kept saying, just tear it up. But I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give Vince the sign back. Over on it's on Benton Road, down almost towards close to the interstate. And then there's two more. There was another house. Oh, help me get this. You get here. I don't want to mess up his signs. I mean, I'm trying to be fair about all this stuff.
You the first person I talked to that's actually it's like a Christian.
Hey, we'll get those in a minute. Don't worry about those followers.
Hey,
I mean, it's brutal enough, but
yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I know you wouldn't do this like this, but some of those college-age kids that are going around there, they were trying to intimidate one of
Where did these signs come from?
Over on Benton Road.
Where at on Benton Road?
North of, it was, I can't remember her name, but she's friends with, what's her name? She's friends with...
But you took them out of her yard?
The woman who told me to take it out. The woman who told me to take it out. She said it's on my property line and I don't want it.
Yeah, and so,
but you can't stop them when they run.
No, that's not true. You can't put a sign. You can't put a sign where nobody wants it.
And to remind everybody, Colonel Crockett is returning these signs to Vince's grocery store, to Vince Maggio's grocery store.
yeah, they be fucking family.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah. And I didn't want to, and there's two more signs in there that people, I'll tell you where they were. One was like, but they're doing things like, I had two signs on this woman's house, and they took our signs out, and the woman was almost crying when I went there. So people are intimidating, these college kids are intimidating some of these older women. I'm telling you, I'm going to talk to Vince, but, I mean, I don't like what Vince is doing. Hey.
Here it comes.
What do you say? Okay. And go put them back up. Let's go talk to the woman who said take it down.
Ain't no what. Oh, I had permission, man.
Come with me.
I had permission.
Come with me.
He starts at man and goes to boy.
Tell us it, and here's the thing.
No, you on my property. I'm telling you.
You want me to give you the
Yeah, give me the name. I talk to everybody. Everybody.
Well, you can
He don't talk to us.
No.
Boy.
He's afraid to come on the show, boy.
You're doing that because
it ain't no
did you pull your stuff off the website? Did you block Westbury?
It ain't no Vince, boy.
I don't have to watch.
You're trash.
Put my signs back up and go to jail.
No, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am.
Because I'm going to sue you.
Oh, I want to sue you.
I know you are, but what am I?
I'm telling you that.
Y'all put signs.
I'm waiting on Colonel to go to jail.
Bring your sign.
No, you took my sign up, boy.
Click.
I don't shut no
Click.
boy.
Click.
300
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
No,
Now y'all listen closely.
No, my people ain't never. Don't hand me
And
this.
your people were out there intimidating.
You crazy.
When she was
No, sir. No, sir.
You crazy.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that. You
said, all you do is lie.
You said college kids was.
Colonel lies.
The college kids were intimidating Cassie May Rogers.
No,
when she
sir.
was at a door.
No, sir. You
No,
was
sir.
scared that college kid.
If you
No, listen, boy. I'm telling you.
Listen, boy.
I got 2 more signs for you.
So the colonel's returning 3 signs.
Hell, what you talking about? They won't mind more than yours.
What are you
being
talking
kind
about,
enough
boy?
to give your signs back to you.
No. You don't make put signs up. No.
But you've taken down signs.
I ain't took no
Yes,
signs
you
down.
have.
You crazy, boy.
4,300 Brownlee.
Oh, I ain't took no signs
Go
down.
talk to the woman. She's
Oh,
our military wife.
That don't mean
She was almost crying because your people.
I mean, this is straight up reminds me of high school parking lot days.
I ain't did nothing.
Vince, I know you're kind.
I can see them chest bumping.
I know you're kind, mister. You no good.
The truth is kind.
No good.
But you don't have it, Vince. You're
All right.
intimidating people.
All right.
All right.
I think that's enough. We can stop. So,
Okay.
After that, I mean, look, I've gotten a lot of calls about this, and some people are like, yeah, hey, the colonel was trying to, he knew taking it down there. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to. I can't know exactly what he was trying to do, but maybe he was just trying to return the signs and be nice. But I've had a lot of people that say that they're shocked about how Vince was talking. And there's a couple of people that said, well, he was using the language of the rats. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you know how y'all didn't know when it was alleged that somebody had used see you next Tuesday and I didn't even know what it meant.
Right.
Well, this is that same situation where somebody is saying that he's using the word boy, that is a racist term. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that was what that meant. So I had to go doing some researching, right?
Right.
Well, as it would turn out, when you use the word boy in certain contexts, yeah, that is racist. When you are not a black person, I don't know. Maybe that's stepping a little too far. I was going to say when you're not a black person and you call a black person boy, that's inferred to be racist. But as I understand it, when you're not black and you do it, that's racist. But Colonel's not black. Colonel's white. So is that racist? I think by definition, no, it's not for him to use the term boy.
Yeah,
But
I mean, look, in full disclosure, I mean, I've told we have 3 boys, and I've told my kids plenty of times, boy, I'm going to knock the fool out of you. I didn't mean it in any racial context. So I don't know. I can't say one way or the other on that, but.
Well, I was thinking about it a little bit more, and then somebody else made a point to me, and it kind of clicked in my head. He was using the term for a reason, and it wasn't about the colonel. He was speaking to an audience. Remember, Colonel on that audio says, you're just acting the way you're acting because of all the people around you. And Colonel didn't tell me this, but he was saying boy to infer to all of the gang of guys that were around him, I think he might have been trying to incite them against Colonel by using a descriptive term that to a black person is, generally perceived as being racist, to push that on to the Colonel by those people around him.
Well, the Colonel did relay to us, and I think or relayed to me, and I think he said it on the show to us and everybody watching. I think you can go back and watch last week's show, but it was a little intimidating because Vince had, I don't know what he said. I think it was 4 or 5 guys, relatively big guys that I guess help Vince around the store or whatever they do, or maybe they just showed up to help Vince. That, he felt like he was trying to be intimidated. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, he was, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. I've had a lot of people say that, Vince was wrong in handling it the way that he should. Vince should have just said, thank you, now leave. Thank you for giving my signs, and, got the heck out of there. That probably would have been the best way to handle it.
Well, yeah, I agree. There's 1,000 different ways Vince could have handled that, more, let's just say, professionally or politically or whatever, and he chose the exact wrong way to handle that. I mean, that's not, of course, I'm biased, and look, we say every week we are biased, so let me put that out there, but that is not the way that I would want my sitting city councilman to react, period. Now, if the Colonel had shown up and, put the signs out there and started stomping on them and yelling and screaming or doing whatever, okay, that's a whole different ballgame. But the Colonel, I don't know whether he wanted to get a reaction out of Vince or not, but the Colonel was, in fact, there to return the signs one way or the other, and when he just as easily could have let the folks, throw them away or whatever.
Well, as a result of that encounter, Vince said that in regards to what Colonel was saying, that you had people intimidating, you had signs put in places where they shouldn't be. He made disparaging remarks saying that you're trash, all. I can't remember. Did he say all y'all do or all you do is lie? All you do is
Yeah.
lie.
Lie on me or lie about me or whatever he said.
So you using a racist term to degrade you in some way, calling you trash to degrade you, and accusing you of being a liar.
Well, yeah,
well, that kind of leads us into what we have, and I say we go ahead and run with it before we get into the other meat and potato, the boring stuff. Let's just get it right out of the way, and let's see what everybody has to say, coupled with what you heard from last week.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So this is fast forwarding to just a few hours ago. We were sent this audio. So let me see if I can get it to play.
Yeah, this is Dave Crockett. Who am I talking to?
Marlon Brown.
Mr. Brown, what's your address, friend?
Benton Road, Bossier, Louisiana, 71111.
Yeah, you asked me to remove one of Mitch Maggio's signs in front of your house about a week ago. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Yeah, and then somebody came back and put that sign back in your yard?
And told me I couldn't remove it.
Told you couldn't remove it. Who was that?
I don't know. It was a brown-headed lady that was walking, and she said you could not remove that sign.
Okay. Well, I will just let you know that I'll probably send this to Bossier Watch. They're a podcast, and we'll put that out to the public. But I want you to know that nobody can force you to put a sign in your yard. You can take it out. You can stick it in the trash. You can do whatever you want to, as far as I know. I'm not for sure. But anyway, thank you much, my friend, and I'd say if you want to take it out, but I'm going to go fix the other sign out there. But thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
God
bless.
Bless
you.
Okay.
You slick Willie, you. Oh, so
I don't even know what to say to this. I mean, it just proves the Colonel's point that he was, in fact, telling the truth last week. But I find it very interesting. I'm going to try to pause this. right here where Marlon Brown said um, some lady was walking and she said he could not remove that sign.
Yeah, so I would say that so Vince, does not believe in the people's petition to, people's right to petition their government and to have a say and to put term limits or to put a proposition on the ballot. Has to be ordered by judges to do his job. And now he believes that you don't have a right to your property that because he's an elected official and he's got a right to your property too and to order your signs. And if you disagree with any of that, you're trash. You're a boy. And I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to. I'm not
And
seeing a lot of comments here. Here's a witness.
is
Vince
everybody in
Maggio.
shock? I mean, what's the deal here? Let's hear the comments.
No comments. Vince Maggio is saying that the colonel is a liar, yet there's a resident, as I understand it, whose yard Vince's campaign, I can't say it's Vince, I don't know. He said a lady told him that after he took a sign out of his yard, they put another sign in his yard and then tell him, you can't take that sign out of his own yard. I mean,
yeah. I mean, look, here's my advice to Vince. You need to get your sign folks under control. Put in place a set of ground rules for how the sign wars need to be handled in this campaign. I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
Well, I got to tell you, Rex, after what I hear to Vince calling Colonel a liar, he talks to everybody. He said it. He talks to everybody.
Yeah.
According to this guy that is recorded here, apparently not. Apparently he doesn't have permission from everybody. Apparently he believes that if he puts something somewhere, he can do it regardless of what anybody else thinks. And, I can tell you there are other allegations about intimidating things taking place from the Maggio camp across the board. I mean, Cassie, somebody from the Maggio campaign was jacking with her. I already know of another incident or two of reports that I haven't been able to confirm, but I'm working on it. And there's developing to be a pattern here. So I'm just wondering, does all the Maggio people, I mean, do y'all think I don't know. Do y'all think that resident is a liar? And
they must think this is like a little New York or something, or a little Chicago. I don't know. This is getting crazy.
You're hearing the audio. We're just making it up.
Let's run through the audio one more time because I want y'all to pay attention to the fact that Marlon Brown says they remove the sign and somebody came back and put it back. So it's only 1 minute. Let's hear it one more time.
Yeah, this is Dave Crockett. Who am I talking to?
Marlon Brown.
Mr. Brown, what's your address, friend?
Benton Road, Bossier, Louisiana, 71111.
Yeah, you asked me to remove one of Mitch Maggio's signs in front of your house about a week ago. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Yeah, and then somebody came back and put that sign back in your yard?
And told me I couldn't remove it.
Told you couldn't.
Did y'all catch that? They came back and put the sign back and then told him he couldn't remove the sign from his yard. Now that's just nuts.
I don't know. I mean, Maggio people, I mean, is that how it works? I mean, that, the Maggio campaign has a right to everyone's property in Bossier, whether they like it or not. Is that what you're supporting?
I guess.
I mean, I guess that endless sheriff ad. I mean, I mean, does the sheriff believe that?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I mean, look, we know Robert Berry. He believes in the good old boy system, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Except he didn't think Philip Rogers needed to be in it.
Well, look, there's so many places we could go with this. I mean, our good friend Rusty Lombardino, we know him forever. Was, he's fully defending Maggio. Where you at on this show, Rusty? How are you going to come on here and defend this apparent sign war that's going on, where Vince is putting signs where people are not wanting the signs to be? We have literal audio from one of the people this time. So, I mean, how are you going to spin this?
Yeah, I mean, if you object to this type of stuff, I was a little dismissive about the intimidation things, but I got to tell you now, I believe it 100% that the Vince Maggio campaign is using intimidation tactics, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's running. All you got to ask yourself this question: he's running TV ads. He's put a sign on damn near every blade of grass on Benton Road in Bossier City, and I mean, he's probably going to spend between his pack that's supporting him and him. They're probably going to spend $100,000 to be a Bossier City councilman. You got to ask your question. You're intimidating people. You're spending a stupid amount of money. You're running TV ads for a district Bossier City council race.
Yeah, why?
What makes it so valuable that you'll go to all those ends, you'll call people trash? What makes it so valuable? I think I'm missing something.
It's the last vestiges of the good old boy network, and they're pulling out all the stops to do whatever they can, even in the District 5 city council race, to try to keep some kind of power or influence on the city council. And look, Vince is not your guy. He literally did nothing his last term on the city council. Name one thing
No,
constructive Vince
no,
did.
nope, you are wrong. In fact,
Oh,
I can answer this question. He did do something, and he just did it the last council meeting or the one before. He got a stop sign on Green Acres Boulevard.
oh, I forgot about that. I kind of did have a little homage to that in my little graphic behind that video. So, folks, when I post that video later, y'all pay attention in the background to the little hidden messages there.
But he did do something else. He tried to get another stop sign on Brownlee Road. That little cut through up there by the new Providence School up there. He tried to get a stop sign put in there, but that was defeated. So I'm just dying to know, why would you spend $100,000 probably, to get 4 more years just so that you could seek to put 2 more stop signs up in the next
Those are
4 years?
expensive stop signs. Well, look,
I mean,
maybe he looks at it like he does those trash cans. He's such a worthless city councilman that he couldn't get the city to get the trash cans out there. He had to, and he promotes this in his campaign. He promotes the fact that he had to put trash cans or dumpsters out at his own expense. He's a sitting city councilman. Let that sink in. For whoever is advising him on his campaign is dumb as a box of rocks.
well, I mean, look, why are all the money people in Bossier City? And you can just look. I mean, look, I'm gonna call out a few people. The Build a Better, what is it? Build a Better Bossier Pack. Why
Yes.
why why would they spend so much money to defeat an opponent who doesn't have any money to even run a campaign?
Yeah, look, I can tell you the digital billboards back years ago were $1,500 or $1,500 per month on rotation. So I'm sure they've gone up since then. But let's just say $1,800.
But look, that's not the only place. Haynesville Mercantile Bank. Let's talk about that deal. Everybody knows it's in politics. They've got properties all up and down Benton Road and Airline Drive, and they quote unquote are non-denominational for politicians. Yet all you have to do is go by there. They got a little form that you go by and you sign the form, and then you can put things on there. Well, you know what? Ruth Pope Johnson's been going by the office like clockwork to be able to put a sign, but oh, lo and behold, they're not there. They staying the hell out of the office to where she can't put a sign up. I mean, to be like everybody else. So, oh no, we're not showing no favoritism now. Well, now you got the big trailers. I mean, and I can tell you how much those cost. I mean, you do those big signs or whatever to go on those trailers. Those are about $800, to do a trailer. $800 a trailer. I think they probably are going to end up with probably about 6 or so of those. I mean, they're spending a stupid amount of money for what? And calling everybody liars, calling everybody boy, racial words,
Trash.
and and trash. And the truth is, he's not done good things. I mean,
Yeah,
and
he's
and it's
not.
all verifiable, but that's all right. You can count on the good old boys to get your back, which is part of what we're going to talk about now, which is the DA. The DA is coming in to try to save him from having malfeasance tied around his neck.
Yes, he is. And look, so as y'all know, Wes Marriott sent in a public information request and got some of the information back. So we're going to analyze that. But I'm also going to show here in just a second. So Wes said, "Hey, wait a minute. You didn't send all the information. It's pretty much drawing the line in the sand. You've got X number of days to produce the rest of it, or I guess Wes is going to file an injunction." But um,
Well,
I,
if I
and let me back
well
up.
here,
So this originally started with our petition that we put out after the Second Circuit Court of Appeals arbitrarily mentioned that the city councilmen, the 5 of them, may have committed malfeasance in office. That's what prompted all of this. Of course, we all had a suspicion of it anyway. Fast forward, Aaron McCarty from Keel News kind of cornered Skylar Marvin at some meeting. I forget what the event was, but anyway, and straight up asked him, and he said, "Oh well, I haven't completed the investigation yet," or whatever his response was, which prompted Wes to do the public information request. Okay.
yeah, and I would point out that Wes graciously sent his request and the response that he got to us from the DA's office, and he went a step further to say that what he got was not even what he requested. I
Right.
mean, the document was not what he requested. He requested everything prior to February 12th, and he got something that was created after February the 26th, which was not even the request, and a lot of things were excluded. But I'm not my issue is not so much on that issue as on what the DA's office opinion was. That's what I want everybody to focus on. And there's a few little points in there, and of course, I don't know if it's best to go through the briefs that you have, kind of sort of as a guy, or summaries that you had. I don't know how
Well,
best to do this, but there's so many
yes,
there's so many hypocrisies here to go through. It's mind-boggling.
yeah, there is. So let me see how I want to do this. All right. Yeah, let's go through the summary first, and then I think we can switch gears and maybe start down your bullet points. Um,
Okay.
all right, so let me do this. Let's see. Let me switch over to here. Okay, and let me drag this. So this is an analysis, if I can talk for halfway this evening. Not that analysis. Hold on a minute. Uh, bear with me, folks, just a second. I got to go to the right folder here. Okay, here we go. Let's try this one. Okay, so this is a quick analysis of Skylar Marvin's investigation on the term limits issue. We will release his entire investigation as well as these documents on Bossier Watch. Probably won't be tonight, probably will be tomorrow, but we'll release all of this. So basically, and look, I've been harping on this since the minute we got a copy of the DA's investigation, where he, basically chose to take no action. because the only thing in that investigation that they really addressed was everything from the litigation forward. Literally, the DA's office ignored what the charter mandates. I mean, they did address that slightly, but they ignored the city council's actions prior to the litigation, where the city council just flat out refused to do what the charter says they shall. The operative word there, as we have said many times, do, and that's put this on the ballot, basically. And so I don't. I mean, that's no shock to anybody that knew Schuyler's office was going to actually investigate this, because he does a good job of not really investigating his friends and political cronies and all that. Instead, the blame shifted, according to the DA's office, onto the courts and the petitioners, being we the people, ignoring that the city council actually created the problem by refusing to just follow the charter, follow their own law, as Richard Ray said, their own constitution. I mean, is that a pretty quick summary there, Duke?
Yeah, no doubt about it, and I love in this analysis. There's a couple of things, and I'll cherry pick that just freaking make me just, you know. So if you're an elected official, basically what this is saying is, if you're an elected official and you want to break the law, all you got to do is say, I have an attorney. He's been telling me what to do. And
Oh,
guess what?
yes. Yes.
Voila. There's no accountability for you. You can
Yeah.
commit malfeasance.
Yeah, you can basically do what you want to, as long as you hire a lawyer and say he gave you bad advice. That's a get out of jail free card, according to the Bossier Webster District Attorney's Office.
That's it in a nutshell, and that's what they're claiming. They're claiming that they believe there was a fault in the petition, and that they were under legal counsel, and that therefore, because they had legal counsel advising them that there was a fault, they could just ignore their responsibilities, and that they didn't have, that they had discretion on whether or not to act or not act,
Right.
because they had an attorney. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it, because they had an attorney.
Right. And, it's the old saying, and you've heard it, on TV show after TV show, but there's truth to it. Ignorance of the law is not a valid defense, especially for public officials. And not only that, they were warned by some of the public commenters at some of these meetings. Literally, they were warned to follow the charter, and they chose not to do it. And so, this DA report, obsessed over the supposed flaws in the petition, arguing that it called for a November election, but was submitted too late. And I think, Duke, you've got some details to share on that here in a few minutes.
I do.
Placing it on a later ballot would be an alteration of the ordinance, which the charter prohibits. And I think you've got some other information on this. The truth is, the petition was delayed by council interference and bureaucratic maneuvering. The city could have fixed this at any point in time by just putting it on the ballot, moving it forward to put it on the ballot. But instead, they, as this says, weaponize technicalities to stall and obstruct. They use lawfare and stalling tactics rather than doing what their own city charter gave them no wiggle room to do.
Yeah, and like you point out, they focus strictly on, they kept saying, they talked about, that they were having legal advice, and kept talking about Andrew Cobb. Well, that's all from the point of when a mandamus was filed, and all the actions that took place before that. It's like they were deaf, dumb, and stupid, and didn't realize that anything took place before Andrew Cobb came along. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like there never was, nothing else even existed. And that's actually when things happened. But it not only happened then, it continued to happen. The council could have at any time they could have remedied all this. And what I'm going to show you here in a little bit, the DA's office's investigation omits a lot of facts, even if they only investigated all of the facts that took place, after Cobb came in. The DA's office investigation omits facts and or did not consider facts, in taking the position that they did. And I can only conclude that they did it intentionally, because there's no way you can ignore some of the things that have happened, and we're going to show you. I mean, it's facts. It's in public record.
Yeah, and so as we all suspected, look, you mentioned the Robert Berry case earlier. I'll not spend but just about 30 seconds on that, but we all saw it with the Robert Berry case, where the DA stepped in and brought charges or allegations against not just Robert Berry, which is by law what you're supposed to do in a dual office holding situation by statute. He brought it against the Cypress district itself, which you're not supposed to do. And that allowed the Cypress district to help fund the defense of Robert Berry. And eventually, once they got out of the 26 JDC, got corrected. But like we've said many times, on this show, the 26 JDC is, where you go if you want, your what's that phrase that you use all the time? The 26 is where you go.
Well, it's where justice goes to die.
Ah, yes.
Although,
there you go. Although Parker Self's ruling, Judge Self's ruling was good. He's the exception to that.
Parker Self showed the exception. I mean, and look, I got to say, Craig in his ruling, I'm not necessarily sore about Craig's ruling. I thought Craig's ruling was probably right. I mean, it was. I got to say, I didn't like it, but I got to say it was. And
yeah.
Now,
all right, hold on. Let me stop you for a second, Duke. I got to correct Mr. Sadow. Mr. Sadow said the Building a Better Bossier PAC was formed initially to pass the 2019 school board taxes. That is absolutely incorrect, Sadow. They spent their money to fight the Bossier school board taxes, and that's what I meant when I said you were wrong, which you are. Okay. Sorry, dude.
Public disclosure. Public disclosure. How do you know all that? How would you know?
How would I know? Because I was literally sitting in the office with them.
Ding, 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 ding. But
okay.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, I'm gonna play nice. Let's carry on. Let's move on.
Okay. Got sidetracked. Sorry for that, folks. Okay. So where were? Oh yes, political whitewash. So it was no surprise to any of us that the DA Schuyler came out and said, "Oh, they're not going to take any action." Look, I think here's the way this played out. Schuyler was just going to, and look, this is just my speculation, that Schuyler was going to keep kind of sloughing this off and hoping it would go away. And then once it started getting traction on social media, and then Aaron, kind of pinned him up at that meeting and got it on keel, and it got on social media again. He had to do something. So he's like, okay, you two guys go out there, grab the court filings and get me some kind of report so I can just wash my hands of this. That's my theory.
Yeah, but don't forget, Charles Jacobs, the DA, has no appetite to investigate, any public officials in Bossier City or to prosecute. I mean,
right.
While we probably weren't supposed to hear that, I mean, I believed it when I heard it. I was like, yeah, that's true. There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, move me forward because my voice is kind of.
All right. To the top of the notes. Let's get to the meat and potatoes here. So we're saying that the DA's investigation, or quote unquote supposed investigation, is a sham, and we said that we're going to show you why it's a sham.
Yes.
So go to the Marvin investigation thing, and I'm going to take the notes as I built them, and we're going to do our best to work through this.
All right, let me get.
We're going to show you guys video. We're going to show you guys transcripts. We're going to show you everything. So on page 1, let me pull it up myself on my screen so I can
Yeah,
read
and I'm
it.
going to start prepping some of these videos here. So y'all bear with us, folks. It's a lot of information.
Yeah, so on page 1, right out of the gate, you see these guys, the ADAs that, you know, Skylar directed to get on this thing and investigate or figure out whatever they were going to do. And they had some of the legal jargon here, and then at the bottom, you know, they said that there's 2 ways to propose things or for things to happen. 1, adopt the proposed ordinance without alteration and place the issue on the ballot, or pass a resolution calling for an election and placing the matter on the ballot. You scroll over to page 2, and the first sentence. I lost you. I'm trying to make sure. You got to tell me when you're caught up on scrolling.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm on page 2, first paragraph. Under either option, the charter mandates there will be no alteration, underlined, of the wording of the proposed ordinance or ballot proposal.
Yeah, so this is a common thing amongst their decision. They're really focusing on the point, and they highlight it that this was the main issue, that the councilmen, had a belief, because they had counsel, that there was no alteration to the ordinance. They couldn't change it. They couldn't, I mean, look, it's set in stone. What was sent to them was sent to them, and that basically that the wording that was sent to them, it had a date for an election to be held on, the November ballot when the presidential election was going to be held. And boy, this is difficult with all of these.
Yes.
I got too much. It's busy. I got too much stuff going on. Anyway, so they also, they go on to say in here in that, they believed that they had this discretion at this time because of this attorney, because they believed that there was a flaw. And I would point out at a point in the past, y'all may recall this from our shows, they also had a belief in that, and they went and got an opinion from an outside attorney named Katie Bell. And I gotta give credit, Rex, after going back and reviewing Katie Bell's opinion that she submitted to the city. I got to tell you, I think that was a good piece of work in retrospect. Again, while it was against what I was fighting for, I think, now reviewing it again, I got to tell you, I really believe she was on point.
Hey, wait a minute though. So I'm a little confused because maybe I need to scan through this investigation report from Skylar Marvin's office again, but I don't remember them mentioning anywhere in here Katie Bell. Did they actually mention her? Did I miss that maybe?
They did not mention Katie Bell. They didn't mention a dadgum word. Neither, you know what else is not in here? The law firm that advises the city on bond stuff, they didn't mention them in here in anywhere either. In fact, it's as if the bond commission didn't even exist. Nothing.
Well, wait.
Foley and Jadell.
Wait,
It's like
did they even mention the potential conflict of interest because Richard Ray is the city assistant city attorney, was acting city attorney while Jacobs was on medical leave, is the assistant city attorney. He's also an assistant DA. Did they mention anywhere in there that might be a fact?
Oh, well, there is a line, and I think I have it in here somewhere, where they talk about the fact that Richard Ray and Jacobs recused themselves from in fact, if you go down right there on the same page, 1, 2, 3, third paragraph, about the third to last sentence right there in the middle, based upon the conflict created by the differing opposing positions taken by the 8 Bossier City elected officials, Attorney Charles Jacobs and City Attorney Richard Ray recused themselves from issues. So since they recuse themselves from everything, I guess that makes for no conflict of interest on the DA's office part. But
Well, wait. I remember lots of meetings where Richard Ray and Jacobs certainly didn't recuse themselves from the meetings. They were absolutely giving their opinions like candy.
oh yeah, in which I can show video, and I have it ready in our video thing in the next cut, where Richard Ray himself is giving opinions about the people's petition to the councilman at an open council meeting, well after Andrew Cobb is involved. But how is it the DA's office, if they did a thorough investigation, I guess they just missed it. I,
All right, so
I, I
that's the first video, the 1010 video that we want to watch?
I know you're. Yep. Well, wait a minute. Let's not
Okay,
get
okay,
carried away too
okay.
terribly much. You're moving too fast,
Oh,
Nano.
dang it. I
But
wanted to hear them recuse themselves and do all that good legal stuff. And I want to say this too, in full disclosure, neither one of us are attorneys, right? This is just two simple guys that do a podcast and give their very biased opinions every Tuesday night and sometimes Thursdays going down through this. Correct? I mean, you didn't go to law school in the last 2 weeks
no,
and pass the bar, right?
at best, you can call me boy. Okay.
Okay.
At
Come
best, you
on,
can
boy.
call me
Read the
boy.
law, boy.
So the last paragraph right here on this page that we're on, based upon review of the filings made by Cobb on behalf of Darby, Free, Vince Maggio, Montgomery, and Williams, it is clear that he consistently maintained the position that the ordinance proposing changes to the city charter and the subsequent resolution calling for an election on December 7th, 2024, were fatally flawed. Fatally flawed. Kolb argued that there were numerous flaws, including the fact that the citizens' proposed ordinance specifically called for the election to be held on November 5th, 2024. But the election date was impossible due to the late submission of the petition. The late submission of the petition, which was, I think, if I remember correctly, July the 25th.
25th, yes.
July the 25th. So you guys remember that. Basically they're saying that it was fatally flawed. You can't change the date. The date on the ordinance, November 5th, 24, that can't be changed. Therefore, it's fatally flawed, and it was too late. There was nothing they could do. There was no way they could get it on the ballot for the November election. It was just impossible. No way to go.
Okay.
And that justifies them breaking the law and committing malfeasance because they have an attorney and, they feel like there's a flaw. That justifies it.
I don't quite think that's the way it's supposed to work, but what do I know? I, had never been to law school or passed the bar.
Yeah. So for the most part, that is the DA's position, that they didn't do anything. They didn't intentionally do anything wrong. But
wait a minute, but this document's 117 pages long, Duke. Is this a case of the baffle them with, no, let's see, what is it? Dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit?
Well, we're going to come back to it. But I mean, we've already said a lot, but we got to give some timestamps. We got to give some video. We got to give some more information. Dang, it's 8 o'clock. Trump's fixing to start talking. How many people are going to be bailing to listen to Trump and listen to us?
POTUS overrides us.
I don't care. We're going to push through POTUS.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, Zelensky's bad. I mean, look, Epstein, we're gonna tell you everything. Y'all know what it's gonna be already.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
So you got this video up, and this was the October 10th. Now remember, they called a special meeting. Y'all remember the Charter Commission had finished their business, and all of a sudden we had to call a special meeting to pass a resolution to get the charter amendments on the ballot for December 7th because, lo and behold, Richard Ray discovered that the Bond Commission was going to have an ad hoc meeting. He suddenly decided we're going to have an ad hoc meeting. So go to the 105:47 mark and play Richard Ray why we asked for a special meeting. Let him tell you.
Ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Bossier City, state of Louisiana, to vote upon the adoption of amendments.
And we can increase speed
of the
1.5 maybe.
Making application to the State Bond Commission and providing for other matters in connection therewith. First and final reading.
So moved. Second. Council, you have any comments?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd like to, before we move into any other period, I requested this special meeting today. I don't think that's any secret. I requested it because, as I stated Tuesday at the council meeting, we learned that the ad hoc meeting for the State Bond Commission is going to be Monday, this next Monday, the 14th. And that would be the very last opportunity to get any other item on the December 7th ballot. And because the window is, it may only be cracked at this point, but it's still open. I asked on Tuesday for it to be added as on the agenda. It was not. And so then I asked for this special meeting.
Jump ahead to the 116 mark.
All right, here we go.
That it's not an ordinance, and under 3.20, the Bond Commission only requires a resolution calling for an election. And we've confirmed that with outside counsel, and I'm confident that the only thing that the Bond Commission requires to be on their agenda Monday is this resolution calling for the election. But there is an ordinance, and it passed first reading Tuesday, and it will be up for a second reading in 2 weeks.
Okay, stop.
The ordinance.
Okay, here's what you heard. You heard it only requires a resolution to be sent to the Bond Commission to have it on the calendar. It doesn't require multiple readings, just one time. You just pass a resolution, you send it, whether the ordinance is passed or not. He's acknowledging that. The second thing, he's acknowledging a first reading of an ordinance that has already happened before October the 10th. And he's talking about that the second reading would be coming up here in the future after this. Did y'all not hear that, or am I making that up?
No, I'm pretty sure you summarized it very well.
Okay, jump to the 123 mark.
All right, here we go.
And hit play.
But any of the votes that involved Mr. Friedley, and it mainly was, I think, the thought process was not because he was a member of the Charter Commission, but because he was the chairman. Mm-hmm. And so that was a distinction. And so because he was the chairman, any votes that were taken when he was chairman were rescinded.
Okay. All right, so let's assume that this charter and the two other amendments, the term limits for mayor, term limits for city council, go to December 7th and they pass. The citizen's petition is not invalidated. Once it works through the court process, even though this is a newer charter, if that's adopted, they still have an opportunity to amend that charter pending the legal outcome.
I read very carefully, once that was brought up, I've read the front page of the people's petition and also the proposed ordinance on the back. And there's nothing in that specifies that this only applies to the 2005 charter. It just says the city charter. So it would apply to whatever the city charter is at the time of that election.
Okay.
It does not, it's not locked into that particular charter. It could amend this charter if it's passed.
Okay.
Okay, stop.
We know.
Now, there's a couple of points. Now, what was he was just telling the council about, he was counseling the council about the people's petition, right? And this was on October the 10th. The mandamus was already filed. Andrew Cobb was already in play, And let's see here. Bossier City elected officials, City Attorney Charles Jacobs, as well as Assistant City Attorney Richard Ray, recused themselves from the issues related to the citizen petition.
Let's see. Let me pull that back up. Hold on just a second. Okay.
Oh, you ain't got to pull it back up. I'm just making
Okay.
a point. I mean,
Okay.
he's given counsel on the citizens petition, but yet he's recused himself about the citizens petition. And that's probably splitting hairs there, but
maybe those ADAs just overlooked that little minor point.
All right, so let's make another point here. 12534 on that same video. I mean, and y'all pay attention to these because I'm going to bring it full circle to you. I promise.
All right, let me jump ahead here. 12534. Here we go.
Ms. McGraw, can you put that back up? Can you put this back up with the propositions? So here's the problem. Councilman Smith, it's a great question.
I like asking you great questions.
Well, hopefully I give great answers. Sometimes I don't feel like I do, but I try. So again, as I said earlier, these, and by the way, this is what the Charter Commission has proposed. So just like with the people's petition, I'll call it, or Cassie's petition, you're locked into the language. You're locked into this language, and this language says that those amendments, they amend either the existing charter or the charter that would be adopted in Proposition 1. The people's petition, Cassie's petition, doesn't have that same language. And so you can't have something on the ballot, like you couldn't have those other matters on the same ballot because they only propose to amend the charter. This proposes to amend the existing charter or the charter that's adopted in Proposition 1. So they're incompatible. Another reason why I feel it's very important that these items get considered by the voters and either adopted or not adopted on December 7th. And then they're out of the way. And then,
So
December the 7th being the operative date.
Yeah, but basically the key point I wanted people to pay attention to was that the language is locked in, just like on the people's petition. Richard explains the language is locked in. You know, he was saying, when he's saying locked in, he's talking about the same thing they're talking about, that you can't change it. The council's no alteration, without alteration. It is used, it is the quote, with alteration mandate of the Bossier City Charter that seems to be at the heart of the issue, is what the DA's office said, right? Well, that's what Richard Ray is talking about right here. And he's saying that in regards to the Charter Commission stuff. That's what he's meaning. He's saying the language, and that you're locked into the language, just like the people's petition. That's what he's talking about. So the point of that is, however, he didn't get a approval on the 1014 meeting. At the bond commission, there was something that happened. When he sent this down, he had this special meeting. They got the resolution passed. And then y'all may remember, Colonel Crockett and I went to the bond commission meeting on October the 14th, and we were able to get it defeated at the bond commission. Thankfully to, I can't remember, was it Secretary John Fleming or Treasurer John Fleming?
Treasurer,
whatever. Treasurer John Fleming, who is running for U.S. Senate, and I think he would make one of the best senators we may have ever had. I think he'll be a great one. And I'm going to vote for him, and I'm supporting him. But, we defeated that. Now, you remember, and you heard Richard Ray a while ago say that we had already passed the ordinance, right? First reading on an ordinance. And so my question is that the language ends up somehow or another changing. It ends up changing after this. Yet, for some reason, so the DA's office is saying, and they got it in here about that without alteration can't be changed, and the November calling for it in the November election. That's their belief and their problem. Yet right here calling for the December election, they've got no problem changing language.
Yeah, literally changing it. They had to, because they had to change the date.
And Richard Ray is making the distinction that the language is locked in, just like on the People's Petition. He's asserting that it can't be changed. So how is it that the DA's office didn't catch this? I'm wondering, how does that happen? So the People's Petition, that language can't be changed, but the Charter Commission language, that language can be changed. An ordinance and an ordinance, they can change that ordinance, but they can't change this other ordinance. And before somebody calls me boy or trash and says that I lie, I mean, I'm thinking maybe we need to show our sources and show our work. DA's office, hopefully you guys are watching, and I don't know if you, after the fact, go back and say, you know what, we didn't actually look at that, or we didn't do this, but I'm going to do your work for you here and put it out there. So on October the 8th, they passed an ordinance that had the calling for the December 7th date. And if you pull up on the in the folder, Rex, regular council meeting October 22nd, you pull that one up.
Just a second.
The ordinance that they passed on October 8th, it's actually listed on page 146.
All right, let me get rid of this one. Let me pull October 22nd. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. May take it a second because that apparently is a fairly large PDF.
It's a big one.
Just a second. Just a second. It's trying.
Yeah, that one's only 465 pages. My apologies. I should have
Yes, I should have realized that. So give me just a second. It's literally trying to load it. And
well,
folks, if the show crashes, we'll be back. Just keep watching the Facebook and YouTube channel. We'll be back on if for some reason this crashes the show. Here we go. It's almost done.
Well, I'm not going to do the share screen thing. Go to page 146.
Oh yeah, don't do the share screen thing. That will not work. Let's see here. I probably should have done this a different way. Being the amateur pundits and amateur tech people that were, you said page 146.
Yeah, we'll do better. We won't have this problem on the next one moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the page you're looking for?
Yeah, it looks like it. Should be the second whereas, and you see the December 7th, 2004 right there at the top.
Try to blow that up a little bit. Second whereas right there. Yes. Right there.
So you see there, that was the first of the ordinance listing it as December 7th. That was what calling for the December 7th election. So you can close that out, and it's talking about adopting that. So then if you go to, I've got to cut page 83, November 05, which I did better here.
Okay, that's good. All right, we go into the highlighted yellow, maybe.
Yep, and I even high achieved.
Hey.
And this was they had this listed as adopt, and it has a different date, March 29th. So to my point, the language is the language, just like in the People's Petition, it can't be changed, yet inexplicably it changes.
Oh, it's not okay for the people to change it, but it's okay for the good old boys to change it. Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Lowry?
Yeah, but the DA's office says on here that they had a reasonable belief that you couldn't do something. In fact, that's what Andrew Cobb was fighting about. No alteration, without alteration.
Yeah, it just seems like a double standard to me.
So they had no intent. But now keep in mind, they did get a Katie Bell opinion, but I didn't see anything about Katie Bell in the DA's opinion. I didn't see a word about any of that. All I see is fatally flawed. Cobb was consistent, proposed specifically election be held November 5th, whatever. No, I'm just a trashy boy from Bossier City. That's all I am.
Well, I want to address this one comment.
Now,
So our good friend Val Baker says, "How about a Reader's Digest version? If we did that, we would have had to have cut the show off after about 20 minutes. We have to extend this out and give y'all the full Monty, as it may seem. All pun
now,
intended."
now I see we're losing people to Trump. I mean, in which there's still the majority of y'all are still here, in which I appreciate that and respect that Trump can't pull everybody. But the point of the matter is if you're following what I'm tracking here, I mean, the DA's office, there's one standard here, and if I'm correct, in which knowledge there is one exception in the minutes of the meeting. I'm finding a problem finding something in the minutes of the meeting, but I I think it's in the resolutions. But the point is they can't change the language from one reading to the second reading. And what I'm explaining to y'all, if this is correct, that they passed the ordinance with one date and then they finalized it the second time, adopted it with a different date, then the propositions that are on the ballot here coming up in March, they're no good.
Wait. Did you just say that there may be a fatal flaw with the propositions that are going to be on the March ballot?
Well, it's either they are fatally flawed or else the DA's office is correct and they're now going to have to prosecute the city council of Bossier for malfeasance for changing the ordinances.
All right.
If
So
they're acknowledging and saying that we can't prosecute because they believe that changing the ordinances what was valid, that they could question it. Well, if they just change it, they can't have. My point is they can't have it both ways. I mean, what's
yeah,
the DA's office? Are they going to charge them for they're not going to charge them for malfeasance for not changing something, and they're going to say we didn't do anything illegal. Or are they going to charge them now for doing something illegal, like changing it?
well, you want to bet on that?
I don't know. I'm asking a rhetorical question, you might say, but I'm thinking that they're not. Anyway, all right.
Probably not.
But I'm not done. I'm not.
Uh-oh.
I'm not.
But wait, there's
I'm not.
more.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not done at all. So go to now that we have covered that. Let's go to January 28th of 2025, and page 34 of that one. That's a council meeting where the people's petition came up. And again, that one came up good.
Yeah.
So on page 34, and if you look at the date, tell me what the date says up there, Rex.
Well, let's
for the
see
election.
Here. Where am I reading it? All right. They did receive the petition, blah, blah, blah. Where am I looking for the date? Somehow I got lost in the document.
The second, or hold up, July 2024. No.
Here we go. That's the election. Adopted. Not sure what I'm looking for here.
It's It's the date of the election in there, and I hadn't looked at that one in a while.
Let's see. Let's see. There's the adopted date. Maybe it's on the next page. Nope. It's the vote. Let's see. Maybe proposed and set forth. Was received. I don't think they have a date in that. There's no date in that.
Okay, so either way, even if there's no date, what is the difference between the people's petition and this? And then in what they're saying in the DA's opinion, they believed without alteration. What's the difference here?
Right.
They changed it.
You can either alter it or not. And you're right. It goes back to the point. You can't have it both ways. Which way you want to have it, Skylar Marvin's office?
But did they, before any of this, before the judge's ruling came out, did they believe that they could alter things? Did I not just show that they could alter the dates prior to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals putting a ruling out saying, validating the Judge Parker self? Did 4 judges not affirm that? Obviously.
Well, again, it goes back to the point. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for all the ganders running around. Or it's the double standard, or it's the showing favoritism towards the city councilman here that he doesn't want to bring charges up against.
All right. Well, I'm not done, so I don't think I've made the case yet. Let's keep going against the DA's thing here that they didn't have any ill intent. Pull up. I put a link in there for the bond commission.
Okay, let's see here. Treasury. Let me copy that and let me paste that in, and then I'll switch screens. Okay.
All right, so scroll on down to the bottom, keep going. And when you come to the calendar, click over onto 2024.
Okay.
And if you scroll down a little bit, so you see there's to where you can see the 11/05 of 2024 and the December 7th. And the column on the left is meeting date. The middle one is applications are due. And the fourth one is the actual election date. So underneath the actual election date, so you see there 11/5 of 2024, the meeting date for applications to be on the November 5th was actually May 16th. It was way early in the year.
Right.
But here's the rub. The bond commission, it is a known and understood. In fact, you even heard Richard Ray talking about an ad hoc commission, an ad hoc meeting to get on the ballot that was on the 14th. If you scroll down a little bit below the December 7th, y'all see it in the 4th column, second from the bottom right there, December 7th. Look to the left-hand column and tell me where you see the meeting for October the 14th.
Wait, October the 14th?
Do you see it?
That should be 10 slash
Do you see it?
14. I'm having trouble locating that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I see October 17th.
It's not there. They don't even. That was the meeting that Colonel and I went to. They don't even have that one listed, but you see underneath it, they've got several other meetings underneath there that were meetings where, things could have been considered prior. Now, granted, I would concede. I know that that one listed on the far left, the 11/21 meeting. I mean, that was like 14 days before the election. There's no way you could have put something from a city government to get it on the ballot to be on the 12/7, but possibly that October 17th meeting, you couldn't. The point I'm making, if you go up ahead of that to that 11/5 election, where the due date was May the 16th. Look at how many meetings were kind of scheduled along there all along the way, up before even going up to August the 15th. They had a meeting as August the 15th. And you say, okay, Duke, I'm not understanding the point you're making here. Why are you making such a big deal about that? So do you know what the timeline was from when Richard Ray was standing there and he said he's the one that called everybody. He said, everybody knows I called for this special meeting to make the December 7th ballot for the Charter Commission. Do you know how many days from that date, that special meeting with that resolution, to the election on December 7th? You know how many days that was?
Not very many. How many?
59 days. 59 days.
Oh.
So do you want to take a stab at how many days from the time that the petition was submitted to the council to the November 5th ballot? How many days there were?
Well, let's see. From July to August, September, October, November. That's 4 months nearly, something like that.
It was 104 days.
Yeah.
But the DA argues there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time. Somehow, the city attorney's office in Bossier had no idea that there was such a thing as ad hoc meetings, or that even the bond commission would call a special meeting for you just to get something on the ballot. So the DA's office, in their report, suggests that it was another impossibility. It was no way they could have gotten it on they could have gotten it down there. It was an impossibility.
Well, it's almost like he knew how to play the system.
Which is not true. But I digress. The DA's office didn't, by their own admission, council, they didn't really kind of look at before then. So how can the DA say that there wasn't enough time, and that the bond commission, it's known that the bond commission goes out of their ways for city to get stuff on the ballot, even calling special meetings for them? How can they say that there wasn't enough time? I don't get that. So,
because they're the DA's office and they're looking out for their good old boyfriends, and they can say what they want.
Now, I have a cut in there from a public records request to Foley and Jadell that we did. That's in the next. Keep moving down the notes. Where Foley and Jadell is acknowledging about the waiver and the ad hoc meetings. I guess we can skip all of that one and we can jump. Let's talk about, don't forget, Katie Bell. You guys this is boring stuff and y'all don't realize it, but what we're talking about here is actually going to be of some significance. I think potentially the groundwork for challenging everything that will be on the ballot in Bossier City is very possible. And in fact, the dismissal of DA Marvin is now in question because we've shown that they didn't consider all the facts. They didn't.
Well, here's the problem, though, is that's all fine and good, but there's not going to be some magic elves that are going to take care of that. I mean, literally, you got to file a lawsuit to challenge all of this, right? That's the problem.
Unless the Attorney General decides to take up a real investigation that doesn't seek to just make them go away, but actually digs into the nuts and bolts of this thing and takes all factors in consideration. So remember, they got the Katie Bell opinion. And if you go to the Katie Bell opinion cut, let's peruse through that. Page 14, third paragraph. And Lord knows where I have that.
Yeah, I'm not quite following the notes, but anyway. All right. So what are we looking for here?
Let me get to page 14.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out the fact that she points out that the petition does not fail because it didn't have an ordinance. This was the first petition. And, when we submitted that petition, the first time around, and I will acknowledge that it was flawed. And I would say that it was an original good catch by Jacobs and on the year of birth. While I dispute it and I don't agree with it because it gets into the deal the petitioners, were given bad advice by numerous
The
people
Secretary of State.
regarding voter ID numbers. Shame on us for taking their word for it, maybe, whatever. But he made the good call on it. But the point is, she points out that the petition does not fail because it didn't have an ordinance attached. Now, originally the thing is when you're talking about legislation, who can call for an election? Can the citizens call for an election? Whose responsibility is it to submit the legislation, to the bond commission to call for an election? And Katie Bell gets into all of this. Our contention was that as the petitioners, we simply needed to show what part of the charter was meant to be amended and what it was that we wanted to amend, and that it was the governing authority. It was their responsibility to create the ordinance and or to process the legislation and to move that forward. That didn't happen. And some people would say, that's not accurate. That's not the way that was supposed to go. But Katie Bell says that, the petition does not fail because it didn't have an ordinance attached. Did we find that third paragraph?
I think so. So what's the wording that I'm looking for? Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. In other words, the petition does not fail just because an ordinance was not provided to the city council. Rather, if the city council does not adopt the ordinance is submitted without alteration to the vote of the elected city. Anyway, since the petition, going on, and this was in my notes, I'm moving on. Since the petition did contain an ordinance, there's nothing for the council to adopt, is what she was saying. And if you go to the bottom of that one on footnote 8, and remember the old footnotes. For example, another interpretation of Section 21B is that the petition of electors only has to satisfy the percentage requirements, Section 501, and the number of electors that sign the petition, not the ordinance and other requirements of Section 501. So she's more or less throwing some shade, saying that the ordinance is not the controlling factor here, but it's basically the petition and the 33% thing.
Very interesting.
So go to page 16, last paragraph.
All right, let's do that and that. Last paragraph.
However, right there, let's see, 2 sentences. However, without alteration, this does not eliminate drafts or for the coalition to submit another proposal for vote, nor does it prevent the city council members and or city attorney from highlighting the edits to be made to the coalition's proposal in order for it to be compliant with the charter. So again, I'm not an attorney, but the way I read that is, guess what? They could have helped with the ordinance. They could have offered resolution.
Well,
But
I hate
you know
to say
what?
it. I hate to say it because, two of the city councilmen had access to this document that we're looking at now.
Well, the mayor did as well too.
Right.
So, you know, the DA's argument, goes on to say, I mean, and continues to make the argument that they reasonably believed that they could object and or that they could not move forward, and that you know the they couldn't amend or whatever. But 4 judges against Cobb, and, the second petition, they said what they were trying to say was invalid as well too, because of the date calling for the election. And as it would turn out, all the judges ruled that no, you will put it on the ballot. So again, like your analysis in the beginning, the you know, is the DA's office saying that all the judges were wrong? And is in fact the DA's office saying that because they have an attorney that they can rely on and they can use litigation, the DA is rubber stamping that a politician simply just have to say, I had an attorney telling me, and they're exempt from being held accountable to the law. I mean, that's the bottom line here. And I've just shown you an example where they have changed they've changed it knowingly while they even had this thing going on. And the DA's office, they damn sure didn't see that.
They just glossed right over that fact.
So I don't know. I got more, and I dug on this, and I know that I'm going to miss a lot of crap here. Retroactive application of a law is constitutionally impermissible when it would divest the affected party of a vested right. And that goes on. Regarding the definition of vested right, the Louisiana Supreme Court stated the right must be absolute, complete, and unconditional, independent contingency and more expectancy of future benefit, does not constitute a vested right. The reason I'm saying that is because there's going to be here in a selection regarding Darby, he's going to claim that if he prevails, if Deborah Ross beats him, and which I think she is, and I hope she does, if or if he wins, he's going to make the claim that because he won the election, he has a vested right. Take it to the bank, mark it. He's going to say he has a vested right. And we're going to court. That's going to happen. It's coming. In fact, that side over there has already made preparations to go to court on it. They're ready.
Well, that I wouldn't doubt either way. I mean, we've pretty much known that all along. They're litigious and sue happy.
Yep. So I don't know. That's all. I got more, but I got to be honest with you. I done got tired. I ain't even,
term limits, drama. Who would have thought that Skylar Marvin's office was going to cause us to have to go back into the details of the term limits? But those are some great things that you brought up, some great points, some great finds, and some very interesting information. Now, I guess the easy question is we kind of wrap up the show. I'll take those analysis and I'll publish those articles on the page, and folks, y'all can do what you want to with them. But what do people do from here?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm correct, and it's possible I may have overlooked that they did the. I mean, I got to tell you, it would be surprising to me if I'm not missing something that Richard Ray and Jacobs didn't cover themselves on this. But if in fact their first ordinance with a date of calling the election, in December the 7th, and then that their second ordinance, their final ordinance changed the date. And if, because the thing is, the ordinances have to be the same when they're passed the first time and the second time. And I'm not just making that up. I validated that that has to be the case, that the language has to be the same from the first to the second. It can't be changed between them for passage. If that is in fact accurate, that means that these propositions that are going to be on the ballot coming up here in March, I would contend all somebody's going to have to do is file, some type of legal action, and they'll invalidate them. That's what I think will happen. If somebody can look it up and you can prove to me and show me different, I didn't see it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but there's a chance I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I looked at the dates. I didn't see anything after the dates that I showed.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to post on the Bossier Watch page the way that the ordinances and resolutions work as far as the Bossier City Council goes, and also along with Louisiana state law on that. Because what we're saying, to summarize what we're saying is, when Dukes, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're trying to portray is they did the first reading on an ordinance and passed that, changed it because they had to for the date on the second reading, which makes it a whole new ordinance. But there was never a second reading on that whole new ordinance. They went ahead and passed it anyway. Technically, it's not been legally passed.
Correct, which flies in the face of the DA's opinion that says that, they were, they believed without alteration, was strict, but yet at the same time that they're holding up the people's petition, they're altering at the very exact same time. And you can't have it both ways. Is the DA's office now going to contend that, okay, well, when they have a belief that they can't alter, that's not committing malfeasance. But if they alter, is that committing malfeasance? It can't be both. It's got you're either pregnant or you're not. It's one way or the other. Which is it, DA's office?
Is it Lynn Lawrence driving
I
off
don't
the
know.
bridge in a DA's vehicle or not? Which way is it?
Well, I don't want to. I'm
Sorry,
not
I
going
couldn't
down that
resist.
road, but I'm just saying here. Y'all are the ones that tried to provide cover here. You didn't go back far enough, and you only half baked this thing. And now, I don't know. You've got your Richard Ray, an ADA, after the fact. I mean, that Cobb is involved. He's given the council in an open meeting on video, and I can go find more. That's not the only occasion. There's more. I mean, if you don't trust me, there's more. You can't say that he completely checked out, because he wasn't. In fact, we can go to Charter Commission meetings where he's telling them about, and Juliana Parks is talking about, well, we want to get ours on the ballot before they do, or we're not going to be able to beat them. Whatever she was saying.
Right. The us versus them thing.
Yeah. I mean, this thing was obvious. And the DA's office, you didn't do a thorough investigation, because had you done a thorough investigation, newsflash to you, you would have discovered some other things. That's how I know you didn't. This was a whitewash, because if you truly dug into, anyway, I hate to have to put it out here and say it, but it's, bring me a Bible. I'll swear to it. Meanwhile, in Bossier, Vince Maggio is telling people, hey, you can't take the sign up I put in your yard without your your permission. I mean,
they're entitled.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, everybody.
They all feel entitled. That's it in a nutshell.
All you Maggio people, I mean, Do y'all own? I mean, everybody who's not on Guys of Maggio sign, you just need to know the Maggio campaign owns your yard. They have rights to your property, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have no choice in the matter. None whatsoever. Zero. Nada.
All right.
And
Well, I think
you're trash if you disagree.
Yeah,
by
and
the
you're a
way.
boy. You go from man to boy to trash. Man, boy, trash. All right, Mr. Lowry. Well, I appreciate the taking up the slack for the commentary because my voice is getting a little bit worse as we go along.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could have made that clearer for everybody. It's a lot of information. It's technical information, and there's a ton more video. There's a ton more meetings, and you know, I hope it made sense to some people. I can tell you, some politicos, it's going to make a lot of sense too, and there will be gnashing of teeth probably tomorrow. They're probably already right now blowing up their phones. We appreciate y'all stretching through the State of the Union, and hopefully Trump is giving them hell. I hope he is. I hope he is arresting congressmen and senators out there as we speak. I hope Kash Patel is frog marching them out of the freaking house. That's what I hope.
I agree with that 100%. All right. Well, Mr. Lowry, we appreciate
all I
all of
got.
that. We appreciate all the details. We appreciate everybody sticking with us and watching, and everybody that watches it later on or tomorrow. Hey, that's fine too. As a reminder, starting in a few months, Facebook will only keep the shows up for 30 days, but we'll have our full archive, and we already have about 75% of it over on YouTube. So we don't care whether you watch on Facebook, YouTube, or watch on X. However you want to watch it, go back and watch the old shows. It's fine with us. We appreciate everybody watching, and we appreciate Pelican Training and Duke and Kara over there at Acadiana Mortgage and everybody watching. Looks like we just lost our internet connection on one of the streams. Okay, that's our cue to get out of here, Mr. Lowry. We just lost X.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.